There comes a moment in every awakened life where you suddenly feel the strange quietness around you. The world keeps moving. People keep rushing. But you begin to sense a distance, an invisible separation. And many ask, why does the chosen one always seem to walk alone? The answer is not a punishment. It is a profound invitation. An invitation into a deeper understanding of yourself, into the mysterious terrain where true growth begins. Listen closely. Because the path of the chosen man is not crowded, not because it is forbidden, but because few dare to walk it. Growth begins the moment you step beyond what feels familiar, and this is where the journey of every remarkable individual truly starts. Most people try to hold on to what is comfortable because it feels safe, predictable, and controlled. But comfort is a quiet cage disguised as peace. It convinces you that staying where you are is the best option, even while your potential waits impatiently on the other side of uncertainty. The truth is simple. Nothing extraordinary ever emerges from a place designed for ease. The comfort zone protects you, yes, but it also prevents you. And the people who rise in life are the ones willing to walk toward discomfort with intention, clarity, and courage. You must understand that every breakthrough in your life will demand a step you are afraid to take. Every new level of growth requires the old version of you to be challenged, stretched, and shed. Think of it this way: if comfort is the soil, then discomfort is the sunlight. You cannot grow in the dark. You cannot expand while clinging to what no longer serves you. And here is the subtle secret. Your greatest transformation often begins at the exact moment you want to turn back. When your mind whispers, "This is too much," that is precisely the moment a stronger, wiser, more resilient version of you is being formed. There comes a time when you must stop seeking safety and start seeking strength, because the world does not reward those who stay where they are. It rewards those who dare to evolve. Every achiever you admire, every leader who inspires you, every individual who has shaped history has walked willingly into discomfort, not because they enjoyed struggle, but because they understood something most people ignore. The path to mastery is not comfortable, but it is always worth it. And if you listen carefully, life gives you signals, moments where you feel restless, moments where routine becomes suffocating, moments where your heart quietly pushes you towards something bigger. These are not random feelings. These are invitations. Here's the part most people never realize. Staying comfortable feels easier only in the short term, but long-term comfort leads to long-term regret. The opportunities you avoid today become the what-ifs of tomorrow. And one day, you will look back and realize that comfort was never protecting you. It was slowly limiting you. Growth requires friction, pressure, and exposure. Diamonds are not formed in comfort. Mastery is not born in ease. Strength is not built in safety. Your evolution demands the willingness to walk into rooms where you don't yet feel ready, to try things that make your heart race, to fail publicly and rise quietly. All of this is the training ground for greatness. And even though discomfort feels intimidating, it carries a hidden gift. Transformation always happens faster at the edge of what you fear. That is where self-belief sharpens. That is where resilience grows. That is where confidence develops. You do not become powerful by avoiding difficulty. You become powerful by proving to yourself that you can survive it. Every challenge you overcome becomes a new baseline for your strength. Every moment you choose courage over comfort redirects your entire future. So the next time you feel resistance pulling you back, recognize it for what it is. A sign that you are exactly where you need to be. Growth does not whisper, it demands. It pushes. It provokes. And it calls you to rise beyond anything you once believed about yourself. If you can step just a little beyond your comfort today, you will rise far beyond your limitations tomorrow. This is how transformation begins, not with a perfect plan, but with a single step into the unknown. And once you take that step, life will meet you with possibilities you never imagined. Discipline is the silent force that separates those who dream from those who achieve. Motivation may excite you for a moment, but discipline sustains you for a lifetime. It does not depend on your mood, your circumstances, or the opinions of others. It is a commitment you make to yourself, one that remains firm even when everything around you tries to pull you back into old habits. Most people wait for the perfect moment, the perfect burst of inspiration, the perfect emotional state before they act. But you already know the truth. If you wait to feel ready, you will wait forever. Discipline is what allows you to act long before your feelings agree. There is a reason the individuals who reach extraordinary heights often appear unusually calm. It is because discipline replaces chaos with clarity. When you train yourself to follow through, even when your mind offers excuses, you strengthen something far more powerful than your motivation. You strengthen your character. And character cannot be bought, borrowed, or faked. It is built day by day, choice by choice, repetition by repetition. The world constantly rewards those who can stay consistent long after others have quit. You don't need to be the strongest, the smartest, or the most talented. You only need to be the one who refuses to stop. You must realize that motivation is emotional. Discipline is structural. And structures don't collapse simply because you feel tired or uninspired. Discipline protects your progress on the days when motivation disappears, transforming your goals from possibilities into inevitabilities. Even the smallest daily action, performed consistently, outperforms massive bursts of effort, done only when you feel like it. The person who shows up every day, even at 50%, will always outgrow the person who shows up only when conditions are perfect. And here's the part many people never understand. Discipline creates its own motivation. When you see the results of your consistency, when you feel the strength of following through, when you witness yourself becoming someone you once doubted you could be, that is when motivation naturally returns. But it cannot arrive without the groundwork that discipline lays. You must be willing to take the first step without excitement, the second step without applause, and the third step without reassurance. Greatness is built in silence long before it becomes visible. There will be days when your body wants rest, your mind wants comfort, and your emotions want escape. These are the critical moments that shape your future. When you push through them, when you honor your commitments despite resistance, you prove to yourself that you are not controlled by temporary feelings. You are driven by long-term vision. And the moment you realize this, your entire identity begins to shift. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries, you see yourself as someone who follows through. If you observe any high achiever closely, you will notice the same truth. Their strength comes not from bursts of brilliance, but from the simple discipline of showing up, day in, day out, quietly, consistently, powerfully. They don't wait for life to hand them the perfect mood or perfect opportunity. They create progress through disciplined action. And as a result, the world eventually moves for them. So whenever you find yourself tempted to rely on motivation alone, remember that emotion is temporary, but discipline is transformational. It is the compass that keeps you aligned, the engine that drives you forward, and the foundation that supports every achievement you will ever claim. When you build discipline, you build a version of yourself capable of facing any challenge, overcoming any setback, and rising from any failure. And once you become that person, there is nothing, absolutely nothing, that can stop your progress. Purpose is the quiet fire that turns an ordinary life into a meaningful journey. When a person understands why they wake up in the morning, why they endure hardship, and why they keep moving even when everything feels heavy, they unlock a strength that no challenge can bend. Purpose is not loud. It doesn't shout. It whispers. And those who learn to hear that whisper begin to experience life with a deeper clarity, a deeper direction, a deeper sense of who they truly are. Most people drift because they have not yet discovered this internal anchor. They move from one task to another, one goal to another, without feeling truly connected to anything. But a person with purpose moves differently, patiently, confidently, intentionally. When you have purpose, obstacles no longer feel like signs to stop. They become lessons that shape your resilience. Delays stop feeling like punishment and instead feel like preparation. You begin to understand that every challenge on your path is refining you, strengthening you, preparing you for the moment you finally arrive at what you were meant for. And here is the subtle shift. Once your purpose becomes clear, the world can no longer distract you the way it once did. Petty conflicts lose their power. Fear loses its grip. The noise of other people's opinions becomes irrelevant. You start acting from intention instead of reaction. There is a kind of power that emerges when you know what you are working toward. It changes the way you think, the way you speak, the way you carry yourself. You stop chasing validation because your purpose itself validates you. You stop asking for permission because your direction gives you confidence. And perhaps the most transformative part is this: purpose gives your pain meaning. When you understand why you're fighting, the fight becomes bearable. When you know why you're sacrificing, the sacrifice becomes meaningful. When you understand why the journey is hard, the hardship becomes valuable. Suddenly, what once felt impossible becomes achievable because you are no longer driven by emotion, you are driven by vision. Purpose is not something you find by accident. It reveals itself when you make room for honesty. When you quietly observe what excites you, what challenges you, what keeps you awake at night, what pulls you forward even when you feel tired. Purpose begins where authenticity begins. And authenticity begins the moment you stop trying to be who the world expects and start becoming who you truly are. Many people never experience this shift because they fear leaving the comfort of the familiar. Yet the moment you allow yourself to explore what genuinely matters to you, you step into the life you were meant to live, not the one you inherited, not the one society handed you, but the one your soul quietly requested. Once you are aligned with your purpose, momentum becomes natural. You no longer push yourself, you are pulled forward. You no longer need constant reminders, you feel internally compelled. And even when you stumble, even when you fail, even when life breaks your rhythm, you return to your path because purpose does not disappear. It waits, it remains. It whispers again and again until you rise. People with purpose may fall, but they never stay down. Something inside them refuses to settle for less than what they were created to become. And the beautiful part is that purpose does not demand perfection, it demands consistency. It asks you to show up even when you feel small. It asks you to move even when progress seems slow. It asks you to trust that every step you take is shaping a version of you capable of carrying the future you're building. When you live with purpose, you no longer measure your life by how fast you are moving, but by how aligned you are with your deeper direction. So, when you finally discover what fuels your spirit, hold on to it with both hands. Let it guide your decisions, your discipline, your dreams. Because once purpose becomes your foundation, you no longer move through life hoping to find strength, you become the source of it. And from that moment on, nothing in this world can weaken a person who has learned to stand firmly in the truth of why they exist. Solitude is often misunderstood because most people associate being alone with being incomplete. But for those who seek real clarity, real strength, and real identity, solitude becomes the quiet ground where transformation begins. When you step away from noise, from constant comparison, from the expectations of others, you begin to hear something you never noticed before: the sound of your own thoughts. And in that stillness, you recognize how much of your life has been shaped by the world instead of by your own inner truth. A person who learns to spend time alone gains an advantage that cannot be purchased or imitated: the ability to lead themselves before leading anyone else. There comes a moment in life when silence teaches you more than conversations ever could. When you're alone, you notice the habits that weaken you, the thoughts that drain you, the patterns that repeat again and again. You begin to understand your own fears, your own desires, your own strengths. This awareness gives you power because you cannot change what you do not acknowledge. Solitude forces honesty. It strips away the distractions that cover your insecurities, revealing the areas that need growth. Most people run from this mirror, but the few who stand before it calmly, courageously, become the ones others eventually admire. Leadership does not start when people follow you. It starts when you learn to command your own mind. And solitude is the training ground for that discipline. When you learn to sit with your own thoughts without breaking, when you learn to calm your own storms without relying on someone else, when you learn to motivate yourself when no one is watching, you develop a strength that shines quietly but unmistakably. People feel it before they hear it. They sense the difference between someone shaped by their environment and someone shaped by inner mastery. There is a profound shift that happens when you no longer fear being alone. You begin to choose solitude, not because you want to escape the world, but because you want to return to it stronger. You use silence as a tool, not a prison. You become selective with your energy, intentional with your relationships, and thoughtful with your words. The world may call it distance, but you know it is discipline. You know it is refinement. You know it is the process of returning to yourself after years of being pulled in every direction. And once you embrace solitude, something remarkable occurs. Your thinking becomes clearer. Your decisions become sharper. Your emotional stability becomes stronger. You start hearing the difference between your intuition and your insecurity. You stop reacting to everything around you and start responding with purpose. In this space, leadership grows naturally. Not forced, not performed, but evolved from within. You carry yourself differently, not with arrogance, but with quiet certainty. You stop needing validation because you have built identity from the inside out. In solitude, creativity expands. Ideas that were once buried under noise begin to surface. You find solutions faster. You understand people better. You recognize patterns you once ignored. The more time you spend alone, the more you develop a mind that is not shaken by pressure or dependent on approval. And that stability makes others trust you, follow you, and seek your guidance. Ironically, the people who learn to walk alone eventually become the ones others look toward for direction. But the greatest gift of solitude is this: you learn to belong to yourself. And once you belong to yourself, no rejection can weaken you. No criticism can break you. No loneliness can control you. You develop an inner companionship, a sense that you are complete even when the room is empty. That is where leadership truly begins. A person who is whole within themselves does not shrink under responsibility. They rise into it. They do not collapse under pressure. They organize it. They do not fear the unknown. They explore it. So when life pulls you into solitude, don't resist it. Use it. Grow in it. Let it sharpen your mind, strengthen your emotions, and solidify your purpose. Because once you emerge from that silent space with clarity and self-awareness, you become someone capable of leading, not out of fear or ego, but out of wisdom, maturity, and inner power. And when you operate from that level of strength, the world no longer intimidates you, you begin to influence it. So if you find yourself walking alone right now, do not fear it. Do not doubt it. You are exactly where a chosen soul is meant to be. This path is carving you, cleansing you, shaping you into someone the world will one day recognize, not because you followed the crowd, but because you walked in truth. Remember this: a chosen man is not defined by how many people walk with him, but by how deeply he walks with himself. Walk your path boldly. Your solitude is not a weakness, it is your initiation.